Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is no, it's not Friday. I thought because we were supposed to get together on Friday. I've already said that today was Saturday, November the 10th, 2018, earlier today. So that's interesting. Um, and welcome, ladies, Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger. We're going to talk about, we're just going to talk about the energies, first of all, November energies. And I like what you wrote here, BZ, for your ideas here. I'm going to entitle this one, The Energies Are Compelling You to Redefine Everything. And then refine all of November's energies, redefining everything. Now, I asked you before we started recording, you asked me to ask you now, does this have anything to do with the 1111 gateway?
Because this 1111 gateway actually is, it's a 222 gateway, which is an up jump into much more expansive gateways and energies than we've been in before. This whole year is actually keeps having these 222 gateways, but November 11th is an 11 month, and the 11th day is 11/11. Yes, but we're in an 11 year,
right?
So that you have all of those giving the 222 energy. So 11 and 11, 11 is 3 2s.
I gotcha. Okay. Wow. All right. So what does that mean then? Can you?
So what's happening is that not only are people seeing that everything is new, and that what was of the old construct or the old habits or the old energies, or you can fill in that phrase however it works for you. Not only are they not flowing and coming in, but they don't work. So things that you used to do don't work in that way. So you could think about shifting something or trying harder or pushing against it more, or I'm going to take this square peg and get it in this round hole because, that's just what I'm doing. Or you can go with the flow, which is the energies. And, you talk a lot about the aspects of the planets and all of those things, and all the energies that are coming in around that. So many different beings and kind of ways of reading energy and stuff are all saying very similar. Well, they're all saying the same thing in vastly different and very similar ways. And redefining everything. So, and for some of the examples I was just about to come up with for redefining aren't really redefining in essence, because they've either already always held them that way, or they arrived at holding them that way quite a while ago, like many years ago. So, for example, I did that short video today of forgiveness. And one of the main things in there was what we're talking about now is the energies and redefining everything. But so on the one hand, I could say redefining forgiveness, or redefining your connection, your meeting with, your understanding with, your flowing with forgiveness, to be, instead of Sheila did something bad to me, and in my wisdom, I'm going to forgive her. Right? Till she does it again, and then maybe not going to forgive her. And that's kind of how forgiveness goes on this planet. Right? Shades are like that. forgiveness is an energy frequency. It is a singular energy frequency that has a vibration to it and a vibrational nuance to it. And the act of forgiveness actually is an inside job and a self job. Okay, so I mentioned that in the video, and I don't want to do this whole one just on the forgiveness, but that's one example. So in redefining, and we are all each redefining all of our selves and our lives and all of that kind of stuff. So using the forgiveness as an example, as an example of redefining everything, right? So in redefining that as an example, it changes everything, because then we don't have to have, and we may not label it this way, that seeming push me, pull you, that seeming argument with ourselves or someone else who's saying we need to forgive, and this person, the hand that's who's having this argument is saying, well, I'm not forgiving them, right? And because they're not the same thing. So to go back to the bigger picture of the energies in November and the redefining everything, is that everything is being redefined, because everything is changing. So we can flow with the energies and decide to go in and redefine everything, or we can be redefined.
Yeah, well, as you were speaking there, I have to say that you're right as far as like the energy, and because it just dawned on me, a lot of what you're talking about here has, in my mind, for me, metaphor wise, we're right in the last week of Venus retrograde, which is all about redefining your relationship with everything. We have Uranus in a position that, Uranus is expect the unexpected. And if it's the kind of situation where, especially with Venus retrograde right now, if, let's say, I am not willing to look at my relationship with X, Y, and Z, and and maybe there's something that my soul had in mind for my path or whatever, and I agreed to it, Uranus can put us in situations where we think it's the most horrific thing that's happened, but it ends up later to be the best. So just everything right now is redefining. It's like it's the whole energetic from lots of different ways. So the fact that we wanted to talk about this tonight seems very significant to me too, just based on that.
Yeah, and to finish answering the question you posed at the beginning about, does this have something to do with 1111? And yeah, because 1111 brings in, because it's actually the 222 energy, big gateway opening up, is that you could say it gives you a springboard. You could say it's jetpack fuel underneath your butt, getting you moving. You could hold it in lots of different ways, depending on how you hold the first part. So it could be, it could be an assist or a shove.
Right. Well, yeah.
And the last part that that really came through strongly for me when all of the kind of packets and whatnot were unfolding and unpacking, is that it's not just redefining. I mean, that's a lot for some, but it's So refining the redefinition and refining the redefined. So if you have I'm not sure if this is going to be a useful metaphor, but if you have a demarcation or a delineation of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're refining that because let's say that you okay, I'm just going to do this because it's coming to me. I'm not sure what it is, but let's say you have a garden and you have a line for where the garden is. And so that's a demarcation, right? And it's a way that you've held your view of the garden and growing things, and you're redefining the line of where the garden is. And you had a plan in your whole redefining and you're unfolding things to have it go a certain way, and you know, in this metaphor, you're putting up the garden fence, and all of a sudden there's this shrub that's right in the fence line. So in your redefining, you've got what seems like an impediment right there. It wasn't in your plan of redefining. Like, what is that bush doing there, right? So you can refine your redefining, and and this works both ways. So you could simply refine it and say, okay, I'm just going to move it on the outside of the bush or the inside of the bush. Mm-hmm. But you can take it from a wider perspective and refine redefinition and redefining in toto as it relates not only to everything, but to the garden, to what you're growing and all of that. So it's if you're redefining something to an expansive nature, then you could either put the fence on the outside of the bush or the inside of the bush. And when you're looking at it refining, you could say, well, I'm either including the bush in my garden or I'm excluding my bush. So that's, again, there's polarity there. There's a separation there. You know, it's either this one or that one. Or you could refine it in the way that however you feel moved to do it could be on the outside or the inside, but the bush actually is inclusive with all of you're refining your thought of that because you realize that this bush is a place for birds or butterflies to land before they do something. It's a place maybe to grow a nest, or it's a place maybe there has fruit or flowers on this. So what you're realizing in the redefining, so you were thinking kind of linear, there's garden, it's going to do stuff for me, I've got a fence around it to keep stuff out, right, you know, that kind of stuff, and so I'm going to move that, and there's a bush, but now you've really changed how you look at something. How can this be part of what I'm doing, and the way, so it's a way of being rather than just demarcations of something or definitions of something. So the words of redefining and refining married with the energies are important, yet they're not, the energy of them is not the whole concept until you redefine your thinking on that. So until you redefine, and then refine your thinking on everything. So that made a lot more sense from an energetic standpoint than it did from a word standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do feel what you're saying. For me, let me, if I may, what I feel that you're saying is that in order for with this energy that's coming in. First of all, everything is going to be redefined one way or the other. Anyway, that's what I feel. And it's just a matter of how that all plays out. And I'm not the only being, since this is a co-creative reality at the moment, that we all exist in. But also, I've already, for myself, I've noticed over the last year in particular, of course, it's been an ongoing process, but it's been more dramatic for me in the last year, that there has been a refining, if you will, of my thought processes. So I get what you're saying in regards to that issue, or that portion of what this conversation is about. And for me, that translates as a more expanded view, if you will.
Yeah, right. And so on the one hand, the energies are causing us all to redefine everything. So literally and figuratively redefine everything. And you could look up the word redefine and, feel into that, and you've got that. So yes. And then refine that once it's redefined. Yes. And more to the point, what the energies are actually when you take all of them in toto, and they're exacerbated, they're enlivened, they're expanded, they're enhanced, right? There's lots of ways you could do it. They actually, you would throw out all definitions, all tires to all things that you would use as stakeholders. So your storyline, the identifiers, the ways that I'm me and I'm a mother, I'm a this, I'm a that. Well, those are all storylines, because you're a kick-ass creative being. You are connecting with, playing within the experience of those other things, but that's not who you are. So that's just one example. So on the one hand, yes, it's redefining and refining everything. Find a definition that fits with you, resonates with you, not from your brain, but your being. And yeah, so that's a description of what's going on. And like I said, more to the point though, or more in a more inclusive way, because we can't throw anything out anymore. It's already there. All of those definitions, all of the ways that we, okay, if I'm working in a job and I'm going to redefine the job description, right? Everybody's got that, right? Or I'm not working in a job. I'm a manager and I have a position, and I want to have something, whoever was there is gone and it's changed a little bit, and I want to redefine the whole job description, right? So that's linear-esque. Someone's just shouted at me to go really linear, so okay, I'll try. So we got that, right? You got a position, and there's certain things that need to be done in it, although it's a fairly large position in the kind of the scope of what the person who's doing is supposed to do. And you want to redefine everything. In fact, the business needs you to redefine that position, because you realize that the position is morphed and changed. And okay, so you could sit down and look at what it was before, the benchmarks of that, and so on and so forth. So you could redefine it that way. Absolutely. And then you could refine it, that redefinition, refine it based on projected growth of the business, and where you could see that the position now actually needs the person in it to do some things, and you have to refine the shortcomings with the position. Maybe there's another person that needs to be added to do some other things that are support structures. Does that make sense so far? So that's very linear. And that works as a metaphor for whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay, good. So great. Now we have to leave linear because we're not linear anymore. So you give that whole concept, and you can use that for anything in your whole sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's accurate, that's what the energies are bringing in, and that's not even an accurate way. Ushering forth, mandating, there's lots of ways you could hold it, right? Because they're coming, it's happening, you can do it or have it done to you, right? It's one of those things. But because of the 222, there's that refine component to it,
Mm-hmm.
which is a freeing, a rarefying, a unrestricting of everything, so it takes off the parameters. So basically, go back to our linear example, there cannot be a job description that's box making, and you can't look for the prospective employee for that job based on different skill sets. It's the intangibles that will give you the best candidate for that position. Yes, some of the tangibles. So like they have to, be able to lift a certain amount of weight. They have to, they have to not be afraid of, I don't know, if it's loud noises or whatever the job is, or so certain things, right? But it's more the intangibles. What, in a linear euphemism, you can say what floats that person's boat. What's their overall philosophy in life, in encountering, connecting with others? So that's where it comes in. And actually, it's interesting because there are more and more and more beings who are not only talking about and connecting with others and actually then putting into practice new ways of doing business, new business models, and again, those are kind of linear placeholder things, but those are all going away. I think maybe the safest linear word I can say is it's the intangible qualities of it. So have you ever met someone or hired someone or whatever your experiences is, and it wasn't that that this was a man or a woman, or that they were X height or that, or that they had, this past experience or not. And I'm not talking just about the job, but it was just, I don't know, there's just something about, right, them, or something
You're really
about,
gonna ask me that.
but something about that car, or something about that experience, or something about that system or structure, or, right? So you can use this for anything, and that's the whole idea. It's that etheric quality, even if you're not one who habitually would look at things, that's the intangible. That's why I say intangibles, because that's a business.
Yeah, no, the reason I started laughing so hard is because you just described exactly what I mean, yeah, no, I had that with Lisa and her whole family, which is why they came to move over here and live here, to be honest. I mean, that's exactly what you're talking about for me. It's that intangible. I mean, I feel exactly what you're speaking of there.
Right.
That je ne sais quoi, if you will,
Right.
that, everybody has had at least one time in their life, I would imagine, that they've met somebody and went, wow, I just don't know what it is. There's something about that person. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic thing. It, like I said, it's just something about, right?
Yeah, and
that's the intangibles you're speaking of, right?
Right. And it's about that person, that thing, that this, that, whatever that, is. It doesn't just have to be a being.
Right.
So let me go back just for a minute to the linear for a moment. So these energies are not coming in November and changing things, and then you get to go back to the tangibles when it's December 1st. So think of like a big wind blowing, and it's blowing all of the stuff that isn't redefined and realigned into that new intangible energy reading and immersed way away. So it will be completely gone come December 1st. And we'll move into, the next phase as we go. Does that make sense? So that's not, so if someone says, well, if someone has a habit of identifying themselves with a storyline, that like a woe is me or the savior, whatever it is, right? Just as examples. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean, okay, you have to take a hiatus from November 1st to
I see. It's not a vacation.
Right.
It's from a now on.
Or that someone's tying your hands and no, can't say that for it. It's gone. So this whole month you have, which will be moving very quickly because, hey, look at that. It's already November 10th. So the energies of this month will assist you, will show you the way, and will make it so in various levels depending on where you are, that you will redefine everything and refine those redefinitions. Is that a good starting course?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling it already. And it seems like the opportunities are coming fast and furious for me personally to redefine everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
My approach so far has been to stay excited about it because I know it's happening, and you know what? I want it to. So I'm going to work with it. I'm going to breathe through these contractions, for the hard parts. I just work with it and know that at the end of this exercise of redefining everything, I get to experience the brand new. And that's the best part for me. Like I have been waiting and waiting and waiting, it seems, and I don't wait anymore. So this just couldn't be more delicious to actually engage and to approach it in that way of actively engaging my redefining, taking the lead in redefining for me has been really, really exciting too, because the things that are showing up for redefining are so, so delicious. At the end of it, like embracing it instead of fighting it, because I've been really good at sort of running from it, has been sort of a thrill that I hadn't anticipated enjoying. But I am, because with each challenge, I am feeling more and more empowered and more confident in who I am and where I'm going and what it is I wish to create. So, each defining and redefining for me is like a leveling up in a way that feels really, really exciting.
I agree. The the exciting thing for me in regards to the redefining is that I now absolutely not only recognize, but have actually begun to honor the fact that I tend to jump straight to the fantastical about things. But I can see now where that is absolutely going to be a great service for myself. I mean, it's going to be a great, because in redefining everything, not just for myself, but as we move forward in things, there's going to be lots of, everything means all, everything, the big E. And so everything, and I, personally, we've had enough of whole lot of crap. And since we got to redefine it anyway, why don't we just skip over some of the crap that's been done before and try something completely different? I mean, like totally let's go to the fantastical at this point because we can. And I really feel like that's going to bear itself out. We're going to, as the things within me come up for redefining, as they have been, fast and furious, and again, not shying away from them, recognizing, these things because I am the only thing standing in my way.
Right.
And I'm aware of that.
Right.
And I'm quite aware of that. And so, because I'm excited about what we are talking about here, we are talking about jumping to the fantastical and doing things that heretofore might seem fantastical, but I in this moment of now maintain that's because that's what we thought.
Well, that's part of the redefine. So right there, that's a really good example of redefining. So you say, because kind of that's before redefining, you're going to jump to the fantastical, except it's just so. It's just a way to do it. So it's not, and that's where the refining comes in from that. Then you go, oh, wait a minute, it's not fantastical. It's so. And then you come in and you refine it from there. Well, if it's so, not I hope it's so, it's kind of so, I think it's so, but it's so, and I have a knowing that it's so. Well, I better refine a whole lot of stuff now because that just changed everything. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? That's just an example of that. I wanted to answer two questions that came in right before you said that, Sheila. So one was, see if I can grab it back. One was, well, what does it mean that this is these are the energies pushing the old stuff to be redefined out, right? And it will happen anyways, whether we know about it or not. And the other one, which is kind of similar, was, no, that one's gone. So maybe I'll come back. So to give an example to the first one, when this came in for me, I was driving, it was November 1st, and it was early in the morning, and I was heading down to go to agility team practice with Keegan. And I'd already had a couple other downloads coming. So downloads coming, got the phone recorder, taking notes, and all these codes and stuff are coming in, and some of them I'm unpacking. I'm thinking, wow, whoa, okay, great. And the road had been clear, and all of a sudden there's cars stopped in front of me. I thought, So I put the thing on pause so I could pay attention to what's going on, and realized that it stopped, and it stopped for miles, and it's not going anywhere. And I happened to look at the time, and I thought, wow, this is gonna be a drag, because I have a certain time I have to be there, and I know how long it's going to roughly take me, and I know where we are in the road, and where I am to get, if I could get to a place to turn around, in the middle, to get over to another alternate route. So I'm kind of thinking all this, and just have a memory of what I was doing 2 seconds ago about some of those packets that came in and downloaded and redefining and refining. And I thought, yeah. So I flicked on the recorder again as I'm sitting in traffic, and I said, well, it's November 1st, and guess what? We're redefining everything starting right this moment, because this is the way it is. So that was, I had to laugh because that was a physical, tangible metaphor right in front of me of redefining, and it, lined up for me a whole bunch of specific things, plus a whole lot that came as soon as I turned around, of actual things in my physical life, like, so things with the job, things in my personal life, things with the animals, so lots of different, kind of tangible things. Then it also kind of queued up all things that are more of they're tangible as well, but more not just the physical body or the physical tactile surroundings, but mental, motion, all the bodies, mental, motion, all that kind of stuff. And it was fascinating because and there's freeway traffic coming the other way, so you're all stuck. So I said, okay, well, I'm redefining here, so I need everything to pause for a minute so I can make a safe, copacetic, and get out of here and go back, because there's no way. I texted the team member saying I can't make it. I'm more than halfway there. I've already driven an hour and a half to get there. I can't get to any place. So sorry, I'll see you next week. And then I got the traffic to pause just by saying that. All of a sudden, the oncoming traffic just didn't seem to be there anymore. And I turned around and went back. And so this is part of the story is also illustrative of how do you, so because someone said, well, what happens if you don't go with it? Because it's going to happen anyways. Okay, well, I just gave you a linear example of full stop. Cannot go where you thought you were going, and you cannot go any alternate routes. It stopped. So in that choice, I can fight with that. I can get pissed off. I can, get sad. I can get all sorts of things because I don't get a lot of time off. And these were my hours off. And Keegan's like going, what? What do you mean we're turning around going the other way? We're supposed to go that way. Or I could redefine just in this particular issue, my whole, whatever might come up on the forward momentum being stopped for that. So is there a why? Is there this? All these different things. And in doing that, and I didn't have because I've been working on that for so long, I didn't have a lot, stack up, but a few things wanted to sneak in, and Smarmy wanted to come by and, poke me here and there. And it was a choice point. So it could have been a whole different hour and a half back where I'd just driven in a car with all of this, teeth gnashing and stomping and, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't. What it was an answer to, so that would be one answer to this person that asked that question. The other answer, and these are, everybody's is going to be slightly different, but the other answer that I can give you that I experienced, that I chose to create, was that all sorts of things flowed and opportunities flowed from that. So opportunities that related to me and Keegan doing something different that we never thought about or expected to come in our lap, for agility that day, for things on the job, for other things, because that started me on, since the download had come down, it started me on thinking, okay, well, I'm in this too. I'm not just supposed to put this on a list and say, hey, let's talk about this, and, because there's other people that might want to do this, and I'm just sitting here, because we all, it's like, I'm part of we and part of all. So I was using this time to review all of these things, and as I mentally thought about things, you guys have both just mentioned, you know, as things come up for review, or as things come up to redefine, or that present themselves. And as I'm driving the car, literally, and looking at the road in front of me, literally, right? And there's lanes, and so that all the physical structure. So at the simultaneous time, all of these avenues and lanes and flows of being and doing, traffic, that kind of stuff, right, was opening up, and I could redefine things in that moment because I was choosing to not fight against it. I was choosing to go with it. So by the time that I went back, that hour and a half worth stuff, I had, just by redefining my energy to it, my position of it, my thought of it, my feeling of it. So again, all of those bodies. And also working things, and then the redefining, so working things out about it. So again, using the example of, well, if something had stopped, I was stopped in my tracks, can't do that right now, maybe can't do that ever again. Well, what do I choose? What do I like? What would I like to create? You know, hey, this is a new beginning. That's done. So don't kibitz over it. Just go, what's next? And by the time I got to a place where I could then decide, well, what I was going to do now, you know, I had text messages, I had phone messages, I had emails that were all tangible, linear answers, echoes, confirmations. You can think of a lot of other things, of things that I had just worked out on various lanes of my stuff on the drive home. That would have taken me days to do if I was sitting at a computer and doing these things, and I was just driving home because I'd drive back that way anyways. So the reason I'm sharing is that it's a real example of this is what actually happens, that we can create these things. And since we are the driver of this, since our heart, if we choose and allow, is the driver of this and not the ego mind, we can create that. And you'll create it in your own way, but we can create that. Or we can create the full stop traffic jam where, you know, like, you're not going to get there, but you're going to be late, you're going to do this, whatever it is.
Yeah, you mentioned in regards to, you know, being in your heart and moving in that direction as opposed to, you know, the other route with your ego and whatnot, because one of the things that you have here are that that in what you wrote is that if it's not in the highest frequency vibration, it'll blow up in your face. I think we're seeing some of that in the in the public realm. There's a lot of that going on, and it also says here that, and as you're cleaning that off, if you've not redefined it, it'll blow up again.
Yep.
And we've seen some of that recently in the public arena as well. So I would say you're smack on with that.
Well, and I added those in the addendum to the, because I can call back a recording and add to it and then send it right again. So
I'm sorry, say that again now.
I said,
I see.
Those parts I added after real life world experience about the.
Right, I gotcha.
There was one thing on the thing I said, no. Right, but I'm being good, you know, I'm doing this, but not right. So sure enough, that thing blew up in my face, and I thought, oh, and I started to chuckle, and I said, got it. And just for good measure, I had something occur that was, it didn't completely blow up in my face, but it was like, egg was like just breathing on my face, could have come and smacked me in the face just to show me. So what I'm saying is it's happening so fast that we are all at choice point.
Yeah.
We can choose to do it in flow, or we can choose to flow against it. We're going that way regardless. So if we flow against it, whatever that it was will blow up in our face. And we're at a choice point. So we can choose, as we're cleaning that up, we can choose to go, oh, okay, I just spilt milk on the floor. I could rant and rave and scream and yell, blame it on somebody else, whatever it is. Or I could clean it up, wax on, wax off, and cool. And if then you know what? Something's going to open the icebox and start throwing all the orange juice and the eggs and everything else out at us on the floor. Are you done yet? Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't think what I'm saying is actual, try it. Go right ahead. And you don't have to wait long. Maybe 5 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, it does seem to be rather quick.
Yes.
If
it was very short.
Now, I have a question though, because luckily for me at this juncture, I'm hanging out with some folks that are working it, working all of their consciousness, right? Working on issues, looking at redefining stuff, having open conversations about our crap, and because there's loads of crap for everyone. But that's right. So I guess my question is, because I'm surrounded both physically now and with you as well, and with folks that do seem to be working out our issues, and I don't spend a lot of time around folks that maybe aren't so much. I see what goes on in the public, but I guess my question is, would you feel that it could be a matter of that paying attention? Like if someone maybe wasn't working on specific issues or whatever, maybe happened to come across this particular video or whatever, could it be considered a matter of focus and attention? Because it could just feel like, oh, well, I've got really bad luck, or is it that eventually it's good? It's going to be so obvious that they've got no choice but to.
It will be crystal clear. Yes, you could start by saying, I got a cold all of a sudden. My car broke down. They, for some reason, made an error in, tabulating my paycheck this week. And, you could have a whole host of things. And then when you stop being hopping mad for a minute and all those things that are joined together, something will catch your attention. Something will catch your eye. Actually, more to the point, it's not something. You will finally listen to you, who's hugging you and asking you to hold still for just a moment and touch base with what you already know it is that you're resisting, redefining and refining. And then it will be unmistakable. You can choose to have it be a seemingly one-off, like you'll go, oh, shit, yeah, right? And then use that in your trajectory now, right? So now you're on that trajectory, shades up, light bulb on, and you go and redefine and look at other things and tune into it. Doesn't mean you could or don't have to go listen to something, whatever. I'm just talking about you in your own world, right? Mm-hmm. Or you could treat it as a one-off, right? And then you forget about it. But that's that's where the milk got spilled, and then the eggs come flying out of the icebox, and the yogurt gets squished, and or the lid fell over, right? So if you get the and you hadn't been listening, it is awful lot of fun if you stay with the there are no shoulds. That's the other thing. There are no shoulds. Should you do this? What do you feel moved to do? What in that moment are you
that's right.
navigating through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything brings results. Either you like the results you're getting or you don't.
Yeah.
But you're going to get results one way or the other. Yeah.
Exactly.
And feedback, and illustration. And so one example, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and in a very limited, mild-mannered way, I was pointing out something that they were going to go do an experience that they should just be very aware and very noticing, very vigilant, very aware. Because I could tell them stories about what they were going to go do, and if they wanted to ask, but that's a non-interference, so I won't tell them. I'll just say, be aware. And there was a little bit of a question on that, and I said, well, it's the kind of thing that, when things get revealed, you're going to say, well, why the hell didn't you tell me? And I can say, well, because you didn't listen, and I am telling you. But I'm telling you in a way that you can choose to pick it up or not. I'm not pushing anything on you. I'm not selling you anything, right? I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just saying be aware. And that because you can feel it. When I say be aware, you feel it, because I can watch you feeling it in your body. I need to pay attention to this. I may not want to ask the whole thing, but I need to pay attention to this. So that's good enough. I know they will be, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is that in that moment when I said, well, when you see something this revealed, you'll go, well, why? You could potentially go, well, why didn't you tell me? Because you weren't ready to hear. So we would say that to ourselves. Why didn't you tell me that the eggs were going to come out and the cottage cheese and everything out of the eggs after I spilled the milk? Right? Because you wouldn't have listened. Because, so that's the kind of thing. So it's redefining everything within ourselves on all levels, on all bodies. And then refining it from there. It's redefining everything in our reality, in our flow, in our experiences, and refining it from there. Just to break down the everything part.
No, sorry. Yeah, that's so big. Mm-hmm. It really is very big.
Yeah.
But what I want to jump to for a moment, the reason that I wanted to play with this is so cool. It's not about the spilt milk or this.
No.
It's so cool. And, maybe it's a whole nother conversation. I don't know, could be, and we leave this energetic envelope here, but it's so cool.
I actually, BZ, if it's all right with you, I think that would be an excellent place for us to stop this one. Could we go ahead and do a part 2? Because actually, I think it deserves its own standalone. Don't both of you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Did either one of you have anything else you wanted to add on this particular portion of this? No?
It's so cool.
Well, we're going to talk about the coolness up next. So stay tuned. And because we're going to have to rein BZ in, I'm afraid. All right. Well, we'll have all the usual things for how to contact BZ and Lisa and myself in the show more section of this video, as usual, along with please subscribe and like the video if you feel so led. And if you have any questions or comments, you know, you can contact each one of us from the show more section information, or leave a comment in the video. So until next time.
Much love.